Sphinx Summoner is hands down the best Pauper Commander deck I've ever built. My version has a single combo using Ashnod's Altar to sacrifice Mirror Retriever and Workshop Assistant, which return one another to hand when they die. If you add a cost reducer like Ethereum Sculptor or Foundry Inspector, you generate infinite colorless mana. We aren't even to the payoff yet, and it's already a 4-card combo, 3 of which have 0 redundancy in the deck, but this is where the commander comes in. Sphinx Summoner is 3 blue-black for a 3/3 artifact creature Sphinx with flying, and when Sphinx Summoner enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an artifact creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So it's an artifact creature tutor that can find every part of the combo so far, except for Ashnod's Altar. What's more is that after generating infinite colorless mana, Ashnod's Altar can sacrifice Sphinx Summoner to put it back in the command zone to play it repeatedly. The infinite colorless mana helps with that, and if there's colored mana to play Sphinx Summoner one more time, it can tutor for Stonework Pack Piece to filter the infinite mana into any color. From there, every artifact creature in the deck can be tutored and played. The most important of which is Secret Door. It's a mana sink that can be used to venture the dungeon. The one I recommend is the Lost Mine of Phandelver. Each time it's looped through, it scries 1, generates a treasure, drains the table for 1, and draws a card, so the damage done with this is limited by the number of cards left in the deck, but finding a win with the whole deck in hand and infinite mana has always resulted in a win for me. Even if someone has a Soul Sister gaining life as the loop is done, removal, counterspells, Cabal Paladin, and Basilicus Creature get the job done. I know this seems too complicated to actually work, but if you squint really hard, it's not a 6-card combo like it appears. It's actually just 2, because other than Ashnod's Altar, every part of the combo is tutorable with Sphinx Summoner. It's just a lot of mana. The cost reducers do a ton of work in that department. If Ethereum Sculptor or Foundry Inspector are drawn naturally, the first Sphinx Summoner only costs 4. It can tutor for a Mirror Retriever, which is reduced to only costing 1. They can be paid for by sacrificing Sphinx Summoner to Ashnod's Altar. The command tax on Sphinx Summoner can be avoided the first time by putting it into the graveyard and returning it to hand with the Retriever. While comboing, Ashnod's Altar can also generate enough excess colorless mana that filters like Stonework Pack Beast, Arkham's Astrolabe, Energy Refractor, and Prophetic Prism are as good as or better than a mana rock that generates colored mana. This makes the calculation for how much mana is needed to combo difficult to learn, but that's something that can be leveraged in negotiations by making the combo appear further off than it is. I'm sure you've noticed that all this is predicated on Ashnod's Altar already being in play, and it can't be tutored for with the Sphinx. The deck is in Dimir colors though, so it has access to Drift of Phantasm and Perplex that tutor for any 3-mana spell. That essentially gives the deck 3 copies of Ashnod's Altar. Without drawing any additional cards, that would give the deck about a 32% chance of having a copy by turn 5. But there's a trick. Merchant Scroll can tutor for Perplex, which can in turn tutor for Ashnod's Altar. That means the 3 transmute spells for 2 mana can tutor for Ashnod's Altar by going through Merchant Scroll and Perplex, but that takes the deck from 3 copies of Ashnod's Altar to 7, which gives it a 60% chance of having access to it by turn 5. Drawing 3 additional cards by turn 5 brings that up to 70%. It's not always right to tutor for the combo though. Like if there's a lot of removal present, the 2 mana transmute spells can also find cranial plating. In fact, in my recorded games I've won about half of my games this way. The deck is mana hungry, so it has about 13 mana rocks plus tons of other artifacts sitting in play, so cranial plating is always at least a 2-shot with Sphinx Summoner, but can sometimes kill in 1 hit. Even if cranial plating is equipped to another creature, the majority of the creatures in the deck fly, making it hard to stop. On top of that, cranial plating's instant speed equipability pushed through tons of damage. Sphinx Summoner can also find Filigree Attendant, which is great at drawing out interaction. Even if cranial plating or Filigree Attendant are destroyed, tutoring for Mirror Retriever both recurs the removed card and moves the deck closer to comboing, all while just looking like a value play unless someone is familiar with the combo. Past the recursion built into the combo, every piece of it is an artifact, so as long as Ashnod's Altar, Mirror Retriever, or Workshop Assistant isn't exiled, Archaeum Mender can help reassemble the combo. When any of those cards are exiled, I tell my table that my only combo has been shut off, which can buy space to rebuild another backup plan. Blood Fountain also adds a ton of resiliency. It brings back 2 creatures, and it's a mana-restricted loop with our cards that bring back artifacts. Having a mana-restricted loop in a deck that can go infinite on mana also means that it can be used while comboing to replay anything that goes in the graveyard. It's also worth noting that it can be searched for with Trinket Mage, which the 3-mana transmute spells can tutor. As a toolbox deck, having so many tutors means that 1 slot can really expand what the deck is capable of. Having Basilicus Creature as a strong life gain source gives the deck resiliency against a good portion of the metagame. Tithing Blade is another great card to tutor. The Edict effect on the front, along with being an artifact that can be sacrificed, recurred, or flipped for damage and life gain over the long game, can be impressive. The deck has a couple more plan Bs though. Ball Paladin was mentioned as being part of the payoff after the deck is drawn, but if it's drawn naturally, doing 2 damage per artifact adds up very quickly. There's no way to tutor for it in the deck though. The last plan B is Golem Foundry, which I've saved for last because I feel like it's my version of the deck's secret weapon, because it can act as a cost reducer in the combo. I didn't mention it earlier because it can't be tutored for with the Sphinx Summoner, but for every 2 loops with Mirror Retriever and Workshop Assistant, it gets 4 counters for the cost of 2 mana, so a golem can be created and sacrificed to refund the 2 mana and bring it back to the starting point, but with 1 extra counter on Golem Foundry. Repeat to create infinite 3/3 golems that can be sacrificed for infinite colorless mana. Golem Foundry will also still have infinite counters on it to replenish the army at any time. Unlike Ethereum Sculptor and Foundry Inspector, Golem Foundry isn't a creature, so it's harder to remove. Importantly, this can allow the deck to combo through removal, something that very few of them do. That's it for the proactive plan, so let's move on to the draw engine. The deck, of course, plays all of the plunder effects like Costly Plunder, Deadly Dispute, Fanatical Offering, Perilous Research, and Reckoner's Bargain. They're all instant, and a couple of them even replace the sacrificed artifact. To support this, the deck includes both of the Wellsprings, Mephitic Draught, and can-tripping mana-fixing artifacts. On top of being 2 mana draw 2s in some cases, or fixing mana from Ashnod's Altar when you need it the most, they're great sacrifice fodder and contribute to Cranial Plating, trigger Cabal Paladin, and Golem Foundry. They also count towards Affinity for Thoughtcast and can be tapped to improvise Reverse Engineer. Lorien Revealed is included in the deck because the island cycling helps a lot in early turns, but it's also just a generically good card that most decks don't get to play as a draw 3 as often as this one does because it has a strong mana engine. Siphon Mind is similarly included for being generically good. There's also creatures that replace themselves, namely Malcator's Watcher, Pilgrim's Eye, Sky Scanner, and Hard Evidence. These make great sacrifice fodder to Ashnod's Altar to spend comboing rather than using colored mana from lands. In a value grind, Sphinx Summoner can tutor for these to block with, or put Cranial Plating on for really great card advantage. Sphinx Summoner's body, the one it tutored up, and the card it draws makes it 3 cards off of the command zone. Mirror Retriever and Workshop Assistant also fit this category, which is what initially attracted me to the combo. For interaction, when I first started testing the deck, I was playing a lot more bounce spells, but over time, I realized that because I'm not a turbo combo deck, I need more permanent solutions to problems, so I've included more counter spells and kill spells. The counter spells are nice because they're versatile, they both protect the combo and stop opponents from winning. Moonsnare Prototype is probably my favorite bounce spell. It's especially great because its removal mode doesn't just put the card into their hand. If they want their card back, they have to give up their next draw. Candy Grapple and Final Flourish are 2 removal spells that the deck can support, which is great because they don't have targeting restrictions other than toughness and can kill some fairly large threats. They also give the option to extract the value from things like Ichor Wellspring. Also because of the high artifact count, the deck can support Metallic Rebuke and Stoic Rebuttal, but the rest of the instant speed interaction feels pretty standard, and I assume it will change based on the meta and new cards getting printed. There are some noteworthy artifacts though. Aether Spellbomb and Executioner's Capsule have to be played at sorcery speed, but can be activated at instant speed later. They can be recurred, contribute to the artifact count, and can't be stopped by counterspell when activated. Tithing Blade is another artifact-based removal spell, and it's the only true sorcery speed interaction in the deck, but it's also one of the ones that I tutor for the most. It's hard to protect against, gives the deck an extra artifact in play, can be transformed for life and damage, and can be recurred. The Graveyard Hate package includes Nihil Spellbomb, which doubles as something to sacrifice to plunder in a pinch, and Shred Memory, which is also an incredible tutor. Muddle the Mixture and Perplex are 2 other transmute spells that act as interaction. I've never actually cast Perplex, but Muddle the Mixture is very versatile. So how does the deck actually play? I've heard it described as wanting to win second. I think every combo deck in Pauper would just love to assemble combo quickly before opponents can hold up interaction, but there are benefits to going slower. Turn 6 is usually the earliest that the deck combos, and turn 7 is pretty common. It's mostly dependent on finding Ashnod's Altar. In early turns, the deck is usually preoccupied with setting up its mana and draw engines, so it doesn't leave up mana unless it has a plunder effect or really feels threatened. The creatures in the deck are mostly small and not very threatening, so they don't usually get targeted with removal spells. Because of this, I usually feel confident playing them unprotected. The recursion, multiple win conditions, and the overlap between all of them allows it to be bold, and the plentiful tutors allow it to pivot between the plans exceptionally well. The decision for what to tutor for with Sphinx Summoner in a game usually goes like this. If you don't have a cost reducer, get a cost reducer. If you already have one and also have Ashnod's Altar, get Mirror Retriever and win. If it's not safe to win, get Filigree Attendant or Malcator's Watcher to grind value. What I mean by not safe is that while Mirror Retriever and Workshop Assistant can't be stopped by kill spells mid-combo because they can be sacrificed in response to looping, the cost reducers don't have that luxury, so they're the weak point, except for Golem Foundry. That's why Golem Foundry being non-creature is especially good. That means that in many games, the deck functions as a flyers deck that grinds value well, feeling like a control deck at times, but with the possibility of drawing into powerful win conditions that don't give the opponents much time to come up with a solution. Thank you for watching. If you're looking for more information about the format, check out the rest of my channel. I use all of my Patreon money, plus some out of my own pocket to run this channel and promote the format. If you want to support it too, please consider giving this video a like, and subscribe for more Pauper Commander content. If you'd like to support what I'm doing here more directly, I'd love it if you became a patron. Patreon shoutout to Achu, I've Cryptid, and Bill, Too Much Do. Thank you.